Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Idea Gen Global Podcast with George Sifakis.
I'm George Sifakis. In a world overflowing with noise, there is one forum where the world's smartest voices connect, where visionaries sit at the same table as innovators, and great minds don't just talk, they act.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, we're looking around. This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Let's go to Gene on Long Island. You're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Yes, Lionel, we got a race card. The Republicans have a race card. You got to pull their race card. All right, the Democrat Party always presents as if they have a monopoly on, quote unquote, the race card.
Right.
But Republicans have a race card, too.
What does that mean?
The thing is that blacks, especially American black men, and I'm specifying between, say, somebody whose history is, say, Jamaica or Haiti or something, somebody who has roots all the way into the depths of the United States of America, and they can talk about familial stories and history, they have a race card, too. And they need to wrap the Democrat Party, that history, around their necks.
How does that work?
And not allow, at least not allow them to say, you're a Ilhan Omar will never do an interview without saying racist, the word racist. And then whites will shrink, like the shrinkage line, because nobody wants to be called a racist. And black folks will say, listen, take that racist crap and shove it. If you go on YouTube, there's so many videos of blacks in Minneapolis and around the country, and they're very funny, telling the Somali community to suck it and get out of town.
First of all, I ask you, Gene, are you a black man?
I am.
Okay. You don't have to drop your voice. I thought, I am. I admit, I am. That's good.
Well,
here is my question.
I know I was just a little amped, so that's why I backed.
No. Listen, that would be my number one priority domestically. Is I would say to President Trump, do you remember when you were running? Remember the Barbershop in the Bronx and all these black folks who came? All of a sudden, these rallies, you would see gays for Trump and blacks for Trump and black women for Trump and black gay women for Trump. Everybody loved him because, first of all, after this horrible Kamala Harris and others, maybe that was it. But I would love to sit back to America. And let me ask you, who is black leadership now? Where do I go to? Is there a Jesse Jackson? Forget Al Sharpton, but is there a black leadership in this country? Anybody?
Look, people are denying Martin Luther King. I mean, you know what I mean?
No.
It's not their call. It's not.
No. What I'm saying is, if I could get with them and say, listen, I want you to work with me. I'd like to say, here is my message to black America. With all due respect, my friends, you have been taken advantage of and taken for granted for too long. You were always considered to be the default group. You were always considered to be the people that would never, ever, ever, how do I say this? That would never, ever stray from the Democrats. So we've got these new people now. These new people that come in, they're from all over the world. And they're very dutiful. They're very obedient. You can take these people. And you can actually send them to you could bring them in and say, okay, you're going to go to Duluth, Minnesota. You're going to go wherever you're needed for the census, to rebuild, gerrymandering. And they'll say, okay, they have families that are intact. They will vote and they have jobs. They're different. Yeah, they'll get their EBT cards and all that, but they're a different group. Now, I would then go to black America and say, you're roughly 14% of the population. And your voter turnout is piss poor. Sorry to say this. They've had it with you. This is their focus. This. Now, you can do one of two things. Number one, You're not going to leave, but you can join a group of people and join forces. Let me give you an analogy, a crazy analogy, which people forget. When the women's temperance unions were against drinking, when they wanted to bring about prohibition, there was a group that they agreed with, but they intellectually on everything else they hated. That was the Klan. The Klan believed in laws against liquor because they believed in the dread black man who's going to get drunk and sexually active and all of this stuff. So what they did was they said these women shook hands and they said, listen, we may not agree with anything else, but we do agree with one thing. Prohibition makes sense, though for different reasons. So what I'm saying is sometimes people will reach out. I would tell Black America, hold your nose, look at Trump, and you can say whatever you want. There is nobody who will treat you better because he will treat you like he does everybody else. Not as a child, not kind of some type of, patronizing pat on the head, but the Democrats have forgotten you, period.
Yeah, but they have control of the message. They have control. I mean, they have the tenor. See, what I believe, you have black and white, and I'm not talking, color, skin color, and then there are the shades of gray.
Right.
And the Democrats have control of the shades of gray, no matter what. And it's not even Democrat, because if you go to other countries, Michael Savage talked about this years ago. He on comments that he made here in America, he was ostracized and banned, and they threatened that they would arrest him in England for things he had said about England in America.
Right.
And nobody wanted to support him. I used to listen every night. Nobody wanted to support him. And now the same thing is happening to other people, and it's just like it never happened. But one other point. I read a story. It was an old black man. It was true. He said, it was a video. You could see him talking. He said, we never went to town without some change, a piece of change in our pocket. And the man said, well, why is that? He said, because if we went to town without a piece of change in our pocket, we could be arrested as vagrants. Right. Because it was a part of the black code. See, in this 250th anniversary of America, Donald Trump needs somebody like me, actually, to say, listen, we are part of the history of America, and the Democrat Party is the history of the retribution against black people. And this thing about Jim Crow, we need to find. I found out what Jim Crow's birthday was, because I've been looking and wondering. I'll call you back on that one. But I've been looking. I said, well, when there's Jim Crow, but when you define something by when it did not exist.
Well, a couple of things.
The line of demarcation between when Jim Crow did not exist and Jim Crow existed. And
let's go back. I'm glad you bring this up. The Dixiecrats, and remember, the party of the Klan, the party of slavery was Democrats.
Right.
The Republicans in 1856 or so, I believe, in Philadelphia, at their first convention, they believed their position was fighting against the twin pillars of barbarism, and that was polygamy and slavery. So historically, and then Lincoln and others, somewhere along the line, this thing veered away. But the problem is that the Democratic Party never took you seriously. You were you were chattel. You were a toy. You were a pet. You were a theoretical area of concern
they took it seriously as it pertained to fear. The fear was always the black vote. That's why Reconstruction, and it wasn't even Reconstruction. It was redemption. There was more redemption happen for the Democrats than there was Reconstruction for the country and for Republicans.
Exactly.
They redeemed themselves. When they redeemed themselves, it took 100 years from 1860 to 19. Listen, you were talking about protesting. I protested in my high school when I was 16 years old. I have the newspaper article to prove what happened after the protest. We marched. We couldn't march around my high school because you couldn't walk around it. But we marched for a list of demands, and two of them were we wanted Black history and we wanted Afro-American history at the time it was called. And when it ended, when the dust settled, we had a white man that was teaching African history and a black woman that taught Afro-American history. And it was peaceful. And what I will give the administration credit for was we had an assembly where we got in front of them, and the president, the principal, assistant principal, et cetera, was sat up, and they listened to us. And we were kids. But we made a whole lot of sense. And when it ended, like I said, when the dust settled, we got pretty much what we requested.
Gene, I thank you so much, my friend. Please call me back.
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.